Welcome back in another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and Where the 99 Lead. We talk about the historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus and also lead from campus back into the community and into the world. Joined today as we talk about financial aid at the University of Pikeville, Matt Crisp, Federal Work Study Coordinator, Financial Aid Counselor at the University of Pikeville, our guest on this edition. Welcome back in, Matt.
Thank you, Andrew. Nice to be back.
And let's catch folks up that are tuned in with Matt Crisp. Let's get a little background.
Okay. Again, my name is Matthew Crisp. I am a 2005 graduate of Pikeville College.
Yes.
And I recently just completed my MBA last year through Morehead, University of Morehead. And been working at the university for now 5 years, going on 6.
Very good. You know the ins and the outs. You've seen a lot of changes at UPike.
I have.
Before we talk about financial aid, let's talk about the changes at UPike. Since you arrived there, let's talk about some of the changes on campus.
The campus has grown exponentially since I've been there. I was one of those, I kind of took the long way in. I was a transfer student.
Sure.
And took a year off before I started back at the University of Pikeville, and I was one of those students that woke up one day and was like, got to get back. And ever since I've been part of the university and part of this community, I mean, just the changes is, like I said, exponentially. I mean, it's great. The campus is booming. Even myself, when I started working at the university, I started in admissions, was transfer coordinator for a while, and now I've landed in financial aid. So I've been a part of that change over the course of.
Absolutely. And of course, admissions, transfer counselor, works closely with financial aid, obviously, yes. Because once a student is accepted to the university, they've completed the application process or the transfer process. Financial aid becomes very important because, okay, I'm in, how do I pay for it?
Right.
Or mom and dad says, how do I pay for it? So it's very important. Open registration for the spring semester coming up January 10th and 11th. And of course, potential students who want to complete that process prior to then, they can do that as well. And let's talk about financial aid as it relates to the spring semester. What types of federal aid can students apply for the spring semester?
Students can apply there's all kinds of federal aid out there, and the starting point is the FAFSA. What the FAFSA stands for is a free application for federal student aid.
Sure.
And this also includes the application for state aid as well. Some of the federal aid that students can apply for through the application process is the Pell Grant.
Right.
Its value for this current year is $5,550.
It's a good chunk of change.
Very good chunk of change, yes. Federal supplemental.
The Pell Grant is a need-based program, isn't it?
It is a needs-based program. The job of what the FAFSA is to do is calculate a number called EFC. And that stands for Estimated Family Contribution. And
yes.
That's the number that the government says that student's family should have available to pay for their education.
Sure.
That Pell Grant is based on a range from 0 up to this current year, $49.96. So if your EFC is between that range, then you qualify for a portion of the Pell Grant.
Very good. And of course, the Pell Grant, there are other grants available from the federal programs?
Yes. FSEOG is one. It's called the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. That is also still available for students. We also have ROTC funding, and as well as their loans that students are eligible for.
Sure. And those are federal programs. What types of aid is available from the state government?
State, you have, there's 2 grants. One is called CAP, College Access Program. That particular grant is also a needs-based program. It's tied to Pell. You do have to be Pell eligible in order to qualify. Its value for this current year is $1,900. And we also have KTG at the University of Pikeville, Kentucky Tuition Grant. It is a grant only for private schools.
Sure.
And its value is $3,000.
Very good. We've taken taken care of a lot of the cost of attending the University of Pikeville through some of these grants, and of course, need-based. And I know, talking with some of the folks from admissions, we've talked about GPAs in high school and how important they are to KEYS scholarships. and that's also a state program, isn't it?
It's correct. KEA, who is the state agency who controls KEYS and all the other state grants as well, also has the KEYS grant, and that's money that students are earning while they're in high school. It's based on their GPA and their ACT score, and once they enroll in a post-secondary education, they can take the money that they've earned in high school with them to college.
Now the good part, UPike students or UPike aid, what types of aid are available from the University of Pikeville?
We have the first thing we have is our institutional academic scholarships, and I have actually brought with us the guidelines that we have for this current year that we're in, and also I've made the adjustments. I know Gary Justice, our Director of Admissions, has touched on that most universities have shut down scholarships at this point.
Sure, most do.
At the University of Pikeville, hours go all year long. Any student that is looking to come into the spring can still qualify for an academic scholarship as long as they meet the ACT or GPA requirement.
Right.
And so what I have here today is our scholarships for this year as well as scholarships for next year. Again, you know, in this day and age, we see a lot of schools cutting back, making cuts.
Right.
At the University of Pikeville, we have increased our academic scholarships for the next academic year, and as well as added a new scholarship to our guidelines.
Yes.
So that's what we have here today, and those scholarships are based on the ACT score. Or if a student is transferring in, then they're based on their GPA or based on their cumulative GPA if they transfer in more than 30 hours.
Academic scholarships, athletic scholarships, of course we know about those. Supplemental grants, scholarships available from UPike, and then there's something called the Pikeville Promise. Talk about that a little.
Pikeville Promise is a program that we've had now for about 3 years. And basically how it works is if a student is fully Pell eligible, meaning they qualify for the full federal Pell Grant and qualify for both of the state grants, their KTG and CAP grant, then we perform a calculation and determine that they are a Pikeville Promise student. And what happens is we have the Pell Grant, CAP, KTG, their academic scholarship if they qualify for one. We add those four numbers up, and the difference between that and our tuition, we supplement in another scholarship grant for them. So basically they have tuition paid for, and that is right here, and that is still going on as well. That's something that we don't cut out. Students that are still thinking about transferring or attending in the spring,
sure,
they can still qualify for this program assuming they meet the requirements for it. Incredible
program, and a lot of money out there. If someone is not sure whether they can afford to attend the University of Pikeville, sounds like the application process needs to take place with admissions. Talk to an admissions counselor, and then talk to someone like yourself, a financial aid counselor, and they can find out. You'll help them through that process as long as that FAFSA has been completed. Now, if they haven't completed a FAFSA, a 2012 FAFSA, would they need to complete that to be eligible for any of these grants or scholarships?
Yes. At the University of Pikeville and with most post-secondary schools, the FAFSA is the starting point for financial aid.
Right.
I can talk to them about in general terms as far as what they may qualify for.
Right.
Definitely talk about academic scholarships, as in those are not based on the FAFSA. But in order to get a full picture of their aid, then they would have to file FAFSA first.
A lot of high school students that graduated 2012, they may have completed those forms and decided not to attend college for whatever reasons in the fall semester. Someone that attended another college or university in the fall, obviously they probably have completed the FAFSA. If they haven't completed a FAFSA for 2012, they can still do that. And what's that process like? What would they need to do?
The very first thing that they would need to do would be to go online. The FAFSA is an online electronic application.
Right.
The website is www.fafsa.ed.gov.
Yes.
Once they log onto that site, they're going to be creating a password and then inputting the information that the FAFSA requires.
Sure.
That whole application process will take about 30 minutes. The information that they would need for that is income information, if they have had a job that they've worked, or also parents' income information. They'll put that in and list the University of Pikeville on there, most important step.
Sure.
And then it takes about 2 to 3 days for that to process.
Right.
Before I can have the results that I need to get them packaged.
And they don't just list the University of Pikeville on there. They also need a school code.
That's
and
correct.
I know that's part of the FAFSA, the form, the completing the FAFSA form. And I can recall that I think you can input up to 6 different schools' codes, but let's pass along the most important. What's the school code for UPike?
Our school code is 001980. And that's the school code for the University of Pikeville.
Yes.
And it's something that they don't have to have up front if they can't remember it or if they haven't tuned in. Then the FAFSA actually has the schools listed in their school code. So they just, and you're right, they can list up to actually 10 schools that they can list now.
Sure. But if someone's narrowed down and they're intending to attend the University of Pikeville, then all they would need to include was that one.
Yes.
What that does is once the FAFSA is processed in some far-off office, far away, that talks about financial and state aid, then that information would be forwarded back to the financial aid office at the university?
That's correct. Once it's processed, then the student would come in, give me a call or send me an email, and I would have that information in our system, and at that point I could put together a financial aid package for them.
Talking with Matt Crisp, a financial aid counselor at the University of Pikeville, on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. We talk about the spring 2013 semester. It is just around the corner. Of course, open registration January 10th and 11th, but students who are transferring or students who did not attend college in the fall of 2012 encouraged to get in touch with, number one, UPike Admissions Office, and then the UPike Financial Aid Office. Matt Crisp, as a financial aid counselor, you know about a lot of different scholarships and opportunities, ways to pay the bill at the University of Pikeville. Let's talk about the process for some outside scholarships, outside UPike, outside state and government grants and money that's there, some outside money.
Okay, there's all kinds of outside aid that students can apply for. A lot of local businesses and agencies will have grants that they'll want to sponsor students and things like that. Any high school senior, the best place that they can go is their guidance counselor. They're an invaluable resource in order to find, these scholarships and applications. Some of them might require an essay, but it's money that can help pay for their tuition, for their room and board, for their books. Websites online, definitely do some research. We live in, like you said, an electronic world.
Absolutely.
Information is sent far off. Definitely do some research because a lot of these $500 and $1,000 outside grants can add up. And can get your school paid for very quickly.
$500 will pay for a semester's worth of books.
That's true.
In most course loads. We're talking with Matt Crisp, financial aid counselor, deal with this on a daily basis, and maybe a parent of a first-time college student. It's intimidating. Maybe for a first-time student, it's a little bit overwhelming as well. But right there, along with everyone else at the University of Pikeville, your job to make things easier and to ease the transition into a UPike student.
That's completely true. We at the university, I'll have to say, we go above and beyond to try and make it as easy as process as possible. We're actually in the process right now of doing financial aid workshops. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to be at Jenkins tomorrow talking to their 44 seniors, where we have a presentation that we present to them on the FAFSA, how to fill it out, step-by-step instructions. We also go back that night and have a session for the parents, so the parents can actually come out and in most cases complete the FAFSA at that point. And that will happen after the first of the year,
sure.
January 1st. But we try to do a great job in not only getting students to think about college, getting them to think about UPike, but also at the end of the day, I try to let that student know that there is money out there
sure.
To pay for their education wherever it is that they may go. Now, we want it to be the University of Pikeville because we are the school of opportunity. But we try our best to give them the tools that they need to succeed.
Absolutely. We're talking about financial aid for the 2013 spring semester. I know once January 1, 2013 kicks in, we'll start talking about the 2013-14 FAFSA.
That's correct.
And that's when that process can get started. Not before then, but January 1st, encourage parents and students to complete that FAFSA as soon as possible, whether they would be an incoming freshman or whatever stage of their college career they are. They need to get that done. What are the deadlines for the 2013-14 FAFSA?
2013-14 FAFSA, like you said, January 1st is when it opens up. At the university, we recommend that students file no later than January 15th.
Wow.
The reason why is because those state grants that we mentioned earlier, the CAP and the KTG grant, those have time limits on them,
Sure.
Meaning you cannot get those throughout the school year. Those grants actually ran out around the first week of February this current year that we're in. So any Kentucky student that is thinking about attending a post-secondary school needs to file no later than January 15th.
Very good. Need to get it done. January 1st, I know most people will have their income from 2012 and they can go ahead and start that process. Those are the things that need to be done, and those are part of the questions on the FAFSA form. Another relatively new scholarship opportunity is the Kentucky Cole County College Completion Scholarship, or K4CS. What is K4CS?
K4CS, and I will stick with K4CS.
Thank you.
We'll stick with that acronym. That is a program that if the student has 60 transferable hours, or if they have 60 hours that they've hit as far as attending the University of Pikeville, then basically what we do in that situation is we have our tuition up top. We take away any state or federal aid that they may qualify for, and again, that the FAFSA will tell us that. And then it's 40% of that number is what to qualify for. For the year, the most that they can get is over $6,800,
right?
Which again is an enormous amount that will go to help pay for their tuition. I have some figures here. We have currently 247 students at the University of Pikeville that qualifies for the K4CS scholarship.
Sure, and it's based on a region as well.
It is.
Kentucky Cole County College Completion Scholarship. So they have to be graduates of a high school in one of those 9 Kentucky Cole counties.
Correct.
247 students on the UPike campus received money from that program. That's incredible.
247 at, let me get this number, $868,000.
That's crazy.
Of this current year. And of course, one of the great things at the University of Pikeville is that students are becoming eligible as we speak. They're taking finals, they're passing classes, they're getting up to that 60-hour mark that they need to hit. We have 56 new students in spring that is going, hopefully, they pass all their classes for finals, will qualify for this scholarship in the spring semester.
Let's talk about who's eligible for the K4CS scholarship available to the 9 coal-producing counties that are part of the program.
The very first thing is you do have to be a graduate from a high school within that 9-county range, and those 9 counties are Bell, Floyd, Harlan, Johnson, Knott, Letcher, Magoffin, Martin, Pike.
You passed.
Yes.
You passed. That was incredible.
That was my final this morning.
As many times as I've talked about the K4CS scholarship, I still struggle to get all 9, and you did a great job with that. What objective does the K4CS scholarship serve?
The overall goal is to help students in this area, in that 9-county coal-producing area, to achieve their 4-year bachelor's degree. That is what we want to see. We want to keep those young, educated students, professionals at this point once they graduate in this area to stimulate economic development and growth.
Matt Crisp, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and today we talk about financial aid. It's one of the most important parts of the process for students coming to the University of Pikeville and continuing students as well, because college is an expensive endeavor. And there are a lot of programs out there, federal programs, state programs, institutional programs through the University of Pikeville, and scholarships available. And what amazes me is open registration for the spring semester, January 10th and 11th, and there are still scholarships available. Matt Crisp, if someone has a concern how to pay for the spring semester, maybe some of the coal layoffs that have taken place throughout our region, there are so many folks that have lost jobs because of the decline in the coal industry, and they have concerns of how will they pay for college. What should they do?
The best advice that I can give a student is don't be afraid to ask. There's all kinds of help that we can provide that student, that family, in order to help pay for college, but they have to be able to ask, and we have to be able to know about it. We can't help if we don't know about it. So any student that's in that situation, that's dealing with the pain of college, dealing with that financial issue, come in and see us. Our office is open from 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and we're always there in order to, one, see what we can do, and provide that student with some sort of financial relief, and hopefully get them to be able to stay and complete their four-year degree.
If someone hasn't attended college or university in the fall semester, or someone did, they finished up their fall semester or are finishing up their fall semester 2012, and they want to transfer to the University of Pikeville, first step, the admissions office. They would need to go there, but they can go ahead and start the financial aid process. And who should they contact there?
They can contact me. My name Matthew Crisp, 606-218-5257. Or anybody in admissions can also, any financial aid question, they do a great, we work very closely with admissions as well as with the athletic office as far as any student that is interested, that maybe wants to find out first even before they apply. Are they going to be able to afford the University of Pikeville?
Right.
Talked with a young gentleman the other day and put together him a financial aid package with his, with the baseball coach, and was able to, he is transferring now in the spring semester. Is going to be part of the work study program. So we're able to put together you a financial aid package. Even if you haven't applied, we can still do that. But the very important step is filing that FAFSA first.
Absolutely. Matt Crisp, a financial aid counselor at the University of Pikeville, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. Also, Federal Work Study Coordinator, and work study programs are available at the University of Pikeville. Talk about that program a little bit.
The work study program is a federally funded program. It is based on need. At the University of Pikeville, as long as your EFC is not above the cost of our tuition, you can qualify for the program. We do have positions that are going to be opening up in the spring, and hopefully being able to bring some new students or current students on into the work study program. It's basically like a part-time job. A student will come to see me if they're awarded a work study, and we'll get them placed either on or off campus.
Sure.
I actually have a student working here with Pike TV,
right,
that's doing his work study here and getting some valuable hands-on experience and getting paid for it, and now he can use that money to help pay for his education.
Absolutely. You get a chance to talk with students and parents, mostly students, but some parents also involved in the process as well as a financial aid counselor. A lot of folks have heard through the years that private schools tuition just makes it unaffordable for me. As you talk with students and parents about financial aid and the University of Pikeville, are they surprised to find how affordable the University of Pikeville can be?
It's a great point you bring up, Andrew. I had two parents actually in my office on Friday of an upcoming 13, 14 student that's
Sure.
looking to attend in the fall. And I could see that look on their face when I told them the price of tuition. I could see that sticker shock.
Yeah.
And the best thing that I could tell them is file the FAFSA.
Right.
Let's go from that point.
Sure.
I've talked with students out in high schools and presented them. I've been on that end where I've been able to present them with their financial aid package,
right,
and literally see them, break down and cry because they thought that they couldn't afford it.
Sure.
But with all the programs that we have, Pikeville Promise, the federal money, the state money, even in some cases there are loans that they're able to take out to help
right.
pay for school. They're able to come there, go to school, get an education, and then proceed on back out into the community.
I've heard the story so many times, and I've had people say, my child can't afford to go to the University of Pikeville. It's a private institution. And I've passed along the information. Talk to someone in financial aid, because you may be amazed. I've heard the story so many times, many different examples, dozens I would imagine, of folks that got sticker shock, yes,
mm-hmm.
and then when they completed the financial aid process, realized that there was help there.
Yes.
There were scholarships there that could make it affordable, and they absolutely were able to afford the University of Pikeville, and it wasn't something that would be a detriment to their family finances. So a lot of help there. Matt Crisp, he's a guy that can do it. He's a financial aid counselor at the University of Pikeville, and he is our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. Open registration at the University of Pikeville, January 10th and 11th. Matt Crisp, you'll be there, I'm sure.
I will be.
we'll look for you there. And folks, if they need more information about financial aid or if they just have questions, again, how can they reach you?
They can reach me by phone, 606-218-5257, or send me an email at matthewcrisp@upike.edu.
There you go. Thanks for being a part of the show today.
Thank you, sir.
Great information talking financial aid at the University of Pikeville. Open registration at the University of Pikeville, January 10th and 11th. Classes begin on January 14th. Scholarships are still available for the spring semester. For more information, call 606-218-5250. On behalf of Matt Crisp with the University of Pikeville Financial Aid Office, I'm Andrew Joyce. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead, a presentation of the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia.